Tomb Raider was launched on the 5th of March 2013, and it is, quote, the intense origin story of Lara Croft and her ascension from a young woman to a hardened survivor. Now, does this game still hold up in 2021 and beyond? Short answer, yes. And if you want to know why, stick around and enjoy the video. So, as the official description from the Steam store page says, story-wise, you are going to experience the rise of our well-beloved Tomb Raider, which is Lara Croft. Without going in too deep here, basically you are on an expedition to a mysterious island, which turns into a survival quest once a vicious storm hits your ship and turns everything upside down. It starts out pretty basic, but it further develops once you get into the meat of the game. I don't want to give away more details about the story. I'll just say that it's a decent story without it being a masterpiece, but it's good enough to push the game forward in a meaningful way. On the other hand, Lara's story is fantastically well done in my humble opinion. If in the beginning she is this fragile pretty girl, which easily gets scared by the noise of the wind in the jungle, towards the end she transforms into the ultimate survival machine, and the best part of this is that she takes you with her on this journey and you yourself change as a player in the game. Where in the beginning you would avoid some enemies if you could do so, thinking that that's the best course of action, towards the end you want to bump into them and to take them out because it's just so much damn fun. For me personally, the character development showed by Lara is by far the best thing that the game has to offer here. Even if sometimes you wonder how on earth she survives some of the falls in which she barely gets any bruises or something like that. I mean, yeah, it's just a game and you are somewhat supposed to turn your brain off, but it's still hard to believe that she can just slide off of a cliff and barely get any scratches on her. Or that she carries 4 weapons with her everywhere she goes, but she doesn't even have a backpack for some reason. I mean, these are small details that don't mean too much, but sometimes when you notice them it pulls you out of the world a little bit and it hinders the escapism element that the game is really good at otherwise. Okay. But enough about that, let's talk about the gameplay. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I've enjoyed the combat in this game. You have a pretty good variety of weapons at your expense, with a pistol, a rifle, a shotgun and a bow, with each of them, except the pistol I think, having different types of ammos. The gunplay I would say is above average, but the weapon I liked the most by far was the bow. I mean, I can safely say that I've used it for about 80% of all the combat situations that the game puts you in, and even when I switched to something else, it was only because using the bow in that particular situation would have forced me to invest more time into that fight particularly. And while I would love to do that in my spare time, in this case where I want to make videos about this game for example, it does not serve any purpose to stick to the bow for 100% of the time. And also switching it up a little bit every now and then kept the gameplay fresh and enjoyable throughout the whole experience. Another great mechanism that helps improve the gameplay is the ability to switch shoulder overviews. What I mean by that is that you could switch from left to right and the other way around, which offered an edge in certain situations where you could only aim at an opponent from one side. This adds to the fun that the gameplay offers you, and I believe that if you would have been stuck only on one side, it would have presented certain spots where it would be a bit frustrating and unrealistic to get past some of the opponents. Now, while on the subject of realism, I believe the torches in this game are broken. I mean, there is this one spot in the game where you walk into a dark tunnel, and while you have a torch, which theoretically should improve visibility in the whole area that you are in, it only improves visibility like 2 meters in front of you. And that's a bit weird, because we all know that that's not how light works, guys, even if it's something as primitive as a torch. On the other hand, the game provides interesting puzzles, and while they are not definitely super hard, they offer a decent amount of challenge and give you a good alternative activity, like a good alternative activity that you can do in between fight sequences. Also, I love how the game encourages you as a player to explore the whole map, and it never really forces you to do so. So it's something that is up to you. It's definitely not a necessity, but it overall adds to the gaming experience if you choose to do so. I would definitely recommend you to explore the areas, because it is sometimes very easy to miss some optional tunes that you can find and have some fun with. Also, the fact that the game has no HUD I think helps you immerse yourself more into the world that is put in front of you, and whoever made that call should get a raise, even if it's 8 years later. Also, can we talk a little bit about the fact that this game has way more gore than I expected it to have? I mean, there are some really strong images and situations here that I really did not expect to bump into when I first started playing this game. It's definitely not excessive, and it serves a good purpose when it does show itself in the flow of the game. The dialogues are pretty well done and acted here. I didn't notice anything that would pull me out of the game because of the way that the characters would interact with each other, although I have encountered a few situations where the antagonist would have Soviet names, because of course they would. Yet have perfect English and pretty good accents. I guess getting trapped on an island does give you a lot of free time, so maybe that's what they were doing in their spare time, just learning some English lessons. Now, all that being said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The game has quick time events, and I don't know how you feel about that, guys, but I deeply hate quick time events in a game. I hate them more than Polly Walnuts hates cats. Now that being said, I think if there was ever a game which would benefit to having quick time events, I think Tomb Raider would be the one, just because of the action scenes that this universe offers you. Another good thing about this is that you don't encounter them too often, so it's not like the game is stuffed with quick time events. Otherwise, I would have stopped playing the damn thing. And then you would have not been blessed with this extremely informative and interesting video. Something else I didn't like about the gameplay is that in the beginning, before you upgrade your melee weapon, if you do a silent takedown, you will have to push the melee attack key, and then to put down the enemy permanently, you have to tap the use key button. I mean, why do this? It's confusing for a monkey-minded person like I am. Just keep it simple. I push one button to attack him, and after that just make me tap the same button. Don't make me tap something else. Graphically the game looks pretty decent, I would say. I played it on 1440p, everything turned up, and while it shows its age for sure, it still looks pretty good, and Lara Croft is as feminine and attractive as she was back when the game came out. Now, that being said, I will say that the colors used in the game are a bit faded. I mean, I get it, most of the time there is a storm going on, but even when the sun is shining and you have a great view of this exotic place, it still somehow manages to turn the view into a depressing one, just like my view is in the morning when I look into the mirror. In conclusion, I will say that the game still holds up, and it's a great gaming experience that everybody should try. The gameplay is solid, Lara's character arc is really well done, and you will have the chance to grow as a player in this game, just like Lara goes from being a babysitter into a badass independent mom taking care of business.